So everyone is familiar with the fact that the pyramids were difficult, if not impossible, to build physically, and a lot of people understand that there's intricate mathematics involved with the dimensions of the pyramids, but I don't think really anyone understands what those mathematics represented. So what we have here is essentially a celestial map, a permanent, indestructible map of the Earth and the Sun-Moon relationship. The best way to start out looking at this is the base of the pyramid, the square, is not a perfect square. This dimension D is slightly longer than this adjacent dimension by about 7 centimeters, which is incredibly small. People thought it was a mistake for the longest time, and that the difference in these sizes is equal to the dimension of the equator to latitude dimension of the Earth. And so everybody knows that the Earth is more round at the equator than it is tall from the North Pole to the South Pole. And that number is represented accurately in this dimension where the pyramid is essentially more of a diamond shape than it is a perfect square. If you look at the dimension of H here, which is from the bottom of the pyramid straight up to the summit, you have the polar radius of Earth from the center of the Earth, where the equator is, up to the North Pole. And this also represents the ratio of the moon and the Earth in conjunction with each other. Encapsulated in this pyramid, in the different dimensions and lines of the pyramid, you have essentially a map of our solar system and a map of the Earth and the celestial axis, which is the wobble of the Earth, the precession. So these numbers are, to me, more impossible than the actual building, the construction itself. Speaking of the celestial axis, the wobble of the Earth is what causes the equinox, basically the reset of the yuga of the Earth as it wobbles. And they took this into account by creating a bit of like a display, like a shadow effect. The pyramids have 8 sides, not 4. And it's only visible for 4 minutes during the equinox, during the solstice every year. This was not discovered until a coincidence. A plane was flying overhead and saw that there was a shadow effect taking place. In South America, the temples and the pyramids there also display shadow effects during this same time of year, such as Quetzalcoatl is a snake that seems to come down the pyramid like a shadow effect during the same time that this pyramid shows its 8 sides instead of 4. In Bosnia, there are pyramids that are estimated to be 14,000 years old. As you can see, so ancient that the Earth has begun to retake it. It's covered in forestation. You can see the size of this thing. It's much bigger than anything in Egypt. So geologists maintained for the longest time this was natural formation. It's a giant hill, as unlikely as that was. And they've discovered recently this is a pyramid far older than the ones in Egypt. You can take tours in it now throughout the caverns and the temples, and it's beautifully laid out, just like the pyramids in Egypt. There are chambers. Didn't want anyone to know that there was anything that old, which begs the question when you look at images like this in Antarctica, that there seem to be pyramids in Antarctica. Geologists are maintaining that these pyramids are a natural formation, just like they did with the ones in Bosnia. And how unlikely would that be when not only are they clearly pyramids, but there's 3 of them here laid out in the same fashion as the ones in Egypt, that are, of course, and the ones in Egypt, of course, are laid out in the way of Orion's belt. They're laid out like those 3 stars that you see in the sky. Of course, I guess these would have been the first ones to have been laid out like that we know of. Scientists are still trying to say that this is a natural formation, just like they did about the pyramids in Bosnia. So it's kind of a forbidden information. And how old would these pyramids be in Antarctica if they were built at a time when Antarctica was not at the South Pole, when it was in a warmer climate? So there's a lot of other mathematics involved here with phi ratios and Fibonacci sequence and all that stuff that I am not even close to understanding. I barely understand the stuff that I just told you, you know. I think it's cool enough to share, though. Better picture of the Orion's belt inspired layout there. Better picture of the 8 sides. You know, if you ask the Egyptians where they got these mathematics, they would tell you it came from Thoth, or Thought, however you want to pronounce it. But we don't know who that was. We don't know where he came from. They call him the Spaceborn. But I'm not one that really subscribes to the alien theory about the pyramids. I think that humans were capable of things that we are not privy to today. And I think that Thoth, the mathematician, being called the Spaceborn, might have been a representation of something that even the Egyptians themselves didn't understand, you know. And that's the part of it that really becomes a mystery, where it becomes merely speculation. There's really no hard evidence past this point. But still nonetheless very interesting, and hopefully this opens a lot of eyes as to Egyptians and ancient people in general, those who built Göbekli Tepe, and maybe even speculation of Atlantis and how a lot of these incredible things came to be. They were more in tune with the universe than I think anyone today is, and a lot of these this architecture and a lot of their writings show that. That's about all I got for right now.